x component of the velocity is the same. How much is the same?
32.
How much is By? Which equation we use to find By? At the moment of impact.
The second one.
The second here, which is Byo minus or plus Ayt. This is what we are looking for. This is 24. This is negative 10. And this is 5.90 or 5.2. And you get this, the velocity. Anybody have the answer?
Negative 28.
Negative 28. The answer has to be negative. And have to be greater than the original one, 24, because the path is not symmetric. If it was symmetric, it was 24 and negative 24. But it's not symmetric. It will keep moving. From here, at this point, is negative 24. But going downward, it will acquire 4 meters per second more. Okay, next. We want to find the speed. How can we get the speed once you have the Bx and By?
Square root of bx squared plus by squared.
This, you get the speed. And finally, the angle of impact. This is to get the angle of impact. And finally, how can we get a y equal 8 meters the time? Where is y 8 meters? What is 8 meters?
A little bit lower. On the
Here.
other side.
How many times you should get?
One.
One time. How do you solve for that time? Using which equation? The first one, y final is how much?
8.
Y initial
10.
and Byo.
24.
So with that, you will solve the quadratic formula, and the quadratic formula will give only one answer. Okay, this is the third case, the third problem. Okay, so I covered the three cases. When it's horizontal, when it's at an angle, and when it's at an angle but from a certain height. These are the three cases for projectile motion for the most part. An additional problem will be when I don't give either Bo or theta O. And in that case, you have to solve a system of equations. You have to play with to rid off of time or anything that you can play with the system. You have three equations, 1, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So if I don't give Bo, you have to solve for time in terms of x, probably they will give x. You need to solve for time in terms of x. X is equal to Bo cosine theta O. You will put it in symbolic way. And then you will replace in one of the three equations, maybe this one that has the time, you will replace the time in terms of the velocity. And you will solve for the velocity. This is the way that you solve a problem if I don't give Bo or theta O. Where you will have that in the homework. When there is a player playing basketball or something like that in the homework. A baseball, right? So you don't have Bo and you don't have theta O. Or you have one of them, but you don't have one. Like if you don't have Bo or theta O, you have to work symbolic way, come here, replace it in symbolic way, solve the system of equation, so solve for t, and substitute in the other equation. This is the way that you work when you don't have the initial speed or the initial angle. One of them have to be given, but the other not necessarily. So this is one problem in the homework. Okay, so we finished with projectile motion. we move on, I will cover relative velocity. I will move on to Newton's laws of motion. So we finished motion in 1 and 2 dimensions, or 3 dimensions. Actually, we'll use only 2 dimensions for the most part. We finished vectors. The last topic for the first test will be the Newton laws of motion. So if you have relative velocity in the homework, I will kill that question. So I will take it out. I don't know if you have, but if you have, I will take it out relative velocity, which is like vectors. Okay, this is the third study guide, which is the Newton laws of motion, dynamics. This is the second topic of mechanics. So we finished with kinematics. We go now to dynamics.
You mean the second study guide?
The third, or second, yeah, the second. So you have to study guide for this, for the first test, which is kinematics and dynamics. This is the second one. Okay, so Newton laws of motion is the second topic. Newton laws, or the same topic, the topic is called also dynamics. So mechanics is divided in 2 sections. Kinematics, mechanics, is divided in 2 sections. One is kinematics, which we finished. And the second one is dynamics. Kinematics explain how objects move mathematically. Dynamics explain why objects move. Right. So, dynamics explains why objects move. So if I apply the, why do you think that I will move this object? So this object is not moving now. Why I will move this object? I apply force. Basically, dynamics is the study of forces on the object. Force, by definition, is a pull or push on an object. Push or pull on an object, and will be represented with the letter F, capital. So any F. There are different forces in nature. In mechanics, we will study different mechanical forces, but there are other forces other than mechanical. So the 4 fundamental forces of nature are gravity, gravitational force, number 1. Number 2, electromagnetic, which is the force between electric charges or because of the magnetic field. 3, the weak forces and the strong forces, these are the nuclear forces inside the nucleus. So the forces that hold together the nucleus, the strong and the weak forces. Okay, so the strong forces and weak forces is between the neutrons and protons